Hi, my name's Alyssa, and I'm the host of Stories and Spoilers, the podcast. I am so excited for this episode with Dominique. This is D.S.Walls. They are a debut author, and they have a new book called Steamy On Set, coming out April 21st of this year. Pre-orders are open, so I'll link that in the show notes below. But without further ado, I introduce Dominique.
Hi,
Hi,
I'm
thank you so
so
much for
excited.
coming.
I'm
I'm
so
excited to have
excited.
you. Yes, and I know that you've poured so much of yourself into this book. Before we dive in, I'll hop into a few little book tropes about this upcoming book. So it's a slow burn, enemies to lovers, workplace romance, plus size female main character, bisexual male love interest. He falls first. It's a movie set, which is super cute. The main character, she loves wine and fashion. I love that. And the male love interest is into film and he is a director. So tell me more about your book. I'm so excited to hear about this.
Yeah, so this is the first book I've ever actually finished. And I love romances so much, so that's what I wanted to write. And I wanted to take one all of my favorite tropes and combine them in one thing. And I
Ooh.
also wanted to focus on a plus size main character who loves fashion, is sassy, and is very into like arguing and banter and everything. And so is like what pushed me to write this romance specifically with her and Errol, Farrah and Errol.
I'm so excited to read your book. I am like patiently waiting for it to come out. Also, congratulations that it's coming out this month. That is amazing. Tell me more about your life, about your background, and like why you fell in love with books and writing.
Yeah, so I've always loved writing. I've been writing like little short stories or poems from as long as I could write. And that slowly has developed and grown as I've fallen back in love with reading again. I feel like all book nerds have that moment where they didn't read for a few years and then
Yes.
like come back to it and now they're just hardcore like a book person. And
Ooh.
so that happened to me about like 5 or so years ago. I got back into books and that inspired me to start writing again. Also, just seeing indie authors, like I remember the back in the Wattpad days, like being
Mm.
able to read stories that weren't like traditional or within the norm. And now as the platform grows for people, you see a lot more indie published authors.
Mm.
So that definitely interested me into getting back into writing.
I I feel like for people who haven't heard of your book before, can you give them a description of what to look forward to? What is Steamy Onset about?
Yeah, so Farah gets broken up with by her longtime boyfriend, and it kind of devastates her, and she doesn't know what to do with her life because she's almost 30 years old, and her career
Mm.
is not where she wants it to be, and her relationship ended. So her best friend Monty, convinces her to move to Los Angeles, where she starts working on the movie set as a stylist. And
Ooh.
like from day one, her and the director Errol get off on the wrong foot. And no matter what she can do or what she can say, they always seem to argue. And so as the movie progresses and they start working closer together, they find that there is a lot more that they have in common than things they disagree on. And slowly they move from like strangers or enemies to friends to then lovers.
Ooh, okay. I'm loving it. So we're enemies, we're friends, we're lovers. There's always chemistry there. And
Yeah.
this being set on a movie set, it's definitely giving like I'm a visual reader. I know a lot of listeners out there as well, when they read, they envision everything in their mind like a movie. So this is gonna be really, really cute. I'm excited like to hear about it, to read about it. We're gonna hop into some icebreaker questions just to learn more
Okay.
about you and like your vibes. So, first question, what are your top five romance book recommendations, like books that you love that are romance themed?
Okay. My top one, I've read this book like 4 times, so it has to be my number one. It's Something Like Summer by J. Bell. It's like a whole series.
Ooh,
Um, it's
okay.
like a young gay romance, second chance. It's really very cute. And it follows, I don't know, each book, because it's a long series, follows a different couple who are like interwoven with each other. But it was my first, I think, queer romance that I ever read. Then there's Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe.
I love that book.
I love it. I don't even know if it's considered a romance, but to me it's a romance. And so that's like my
I think
top.
so. Coming of age. There's
Yeah, it's
romantic
like a coming of
elements.
age. Yeah. it's a lot about his self-discovery, but like the relationship between the two of them is like a main plot point.
Mm.
Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, uh Chloe Brown, Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert,
She's a
and then
classic. She's
classic,
amazing.
classic.
Gotta say, ooh, I love her so much. I loved the one with her sister who was a professor, and then the guy who had like a sports team or whatever, and he did like physical stuff, but it was also therapy. One of the sisters,
Yeah,
that was her love story. I forget. I
Take
think
a
it's
Hint,
Danny
Danny Brown.
Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good one. Okay, okay, I see you. All right. Okay.
and then lastly, Bet on It by Jodie Slaughter.
Ooh, what's Bet on It about?
Bet on It is about this plus size Black woman who moves to this small town to kind of get a fresh start, and to gain control back of her life after she kind of overcomes some mental health issues.
Mm.
And she ends up becoming friends with this older woman, and they go to bingo together. And the older woman gets injured, so her grandson comes home to help her, and they kind of make a bet that they won't sleep with each other. And yeah, do they ever fail?
Ooh, okay, bet on it. That sounds kind of cute. Okay, and Jodie Slaughter. Her last name is giving me flashbacks to Karen Slaughter, and her books always like break my spirit. She's a forbidden author for me, but this romance sounds actually super cute. So I'm like, okay, I'm in. I hear you. What are
Yeah.
your top three favorite book tropes?
Oh, easy. Enemies to lovers, slow burn, and then reverse grumpy sunshine.
Ooh, okay. Reverse Grumpy Sunshine, is that the one where the girl's grumpy and the love interest, whatever, is like the sunny, like bright, hopeful one?
Yeah.
Heard. Okay, I see you. And out of these three tropes, can you tell me a little bit more why one of them is your favorite?
Yeah. So I love reverse grumpy sunshine because I like the idea of the female being the less palatable, likable one,
Mm.
and that she gets to kind of be in her own energy without judgment, and that the guy is the more hyper golden retriever energy esque type thing. Like I feel like so much, at least in fantasy romances, the guy is the broody one, and
Yeah.
so I like when the girl is the broody one.
I sometimes low-key feel like in some traditional romances, it's almost like the girl has to pull him out of the darkness, like pull him out of his shell. And it's kind of nice when it's reversed a little bit. And like in a romance, like one of the characters, the main character is a little bit more prickly and like hard to reach. And they have their reasons. And their
Yeah.
love interest is the one who's kind of like, come out here, like, let's dance, let's have a good time. Like I see what you're talking about. And that's why I'm sitting here and I'm like, when I get your book, I'm a girl who's like all about memes. I'm sitting here and I'm like, when I get your book, I'm gonna be like Elmo with the flames behind him. It's the beginning of the end. I'm gonna be like, I need more. I know myself. I'm gonna get your first book and I'm gonna be like, so when's the next one out? As if this one did not take years to write. I'm gonna be
Oh
sitting here
my
like,
gosh.
hey, so like, do you have a sequel? Like, what's going on? Are you cooking? Like, what are we eating for dinner? What's happening?
Yeah.
Let her cook, let her do what she needs to do. I'm like, you need to cook faster. I need answers. So I'm very impatient. When it comes to books, if I love an author and I know I'm gonna love your books, I need it. I desire it. I require it. I need to stay fed. So as you can see, I have a slight problem for
Yeah. I'm like keeping your books in the background, checking them out.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, judgment all you want. There's fantasy, there's romance, there's smut, there's magical stuff, there's adventure, there's horror.
Yeah.
I'm diverse. If nothing, I am diverse. So I'm here for it all. I read 182 books last year, so I go through those puppies. I don't give a dang. Audiobooks, ebooks, physical books.
182?
Yes.
That's impressive.
Well, thank you. This year it's only 80 because I'm in school in this economy. But I am trying. If I get over 80, I'm just kind of gonna go and have a good time and not pick a number. I
Yeah.
love I love having a goal. So when I heard about your book and I saw all the character art, which is absolutely beautiful, I was like, wait, it's giving cute, it's giving romance. I do know that you referenced in your social media, you referenced a scene where like someone had to get undressed. And I was like, for what? For what? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, do what you have to do, I guess. Like, pull out the abs. Okay, abs.
Right?
Okay, okay, thickums. Okay, come over here. You know what I mean? What is it? There's a There's a saying that I always heard on social media, and that it is my personality entirely. It's like, I'm gonna rock your shit. So rock it. I'm gonna rock your shit. So rock it. That's literally me. It's like, my book is so good. I'm like, so give it to me. My book is so good. When does it come out?
Yeah,
You don't have to tell me. I'll be there, ready, annotated, prepared. Okay, I'm here.
good,
I
good,
will
good.
dress up as your main characters for Halloween. My partner will be involved. Like, that is who I am. So
I love that.
100%. I'm so, so excited. And curvy representation is incredibly needed. I feel like in
Yeah.
so many books, all these characters, they sound the same. They sound like they look the same, and it's driving me crazy. So that's why I'm like, in my head, have you ever read a book yourself in like a romance genre and you're like, I just changed how they look in my mind? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
When they say like brunette, blue eyes, I'm like, oh, no. And I
Yeah,
immediately
no, no, no.
change it.
That's not what I'm saying. No.
No, no. Or when the author says, like, my inspiration for the love interest was Chris Hemsworth. I'm like, okay, I see you. I hear you. Good looking person. That was not actually who I was envisioning in my mind. No, like,
Honestly, I just read a romance book and he was blonde and he was like a bad boy. And I was like,
ooh,
no, he needs dark hair. Like, I'm going to ignore every reference where
ooh,
he is blonde.
it's part of the starter pack. You know what I mean? There are certain love interests where I'm like, oh, no. There's only one love interest who was blonde, it had blue eyes, and I was like, that makes sense. Like it made sense for the character. And but that was like one character in like a series of like 8 books, and I'm like, you get one. You get one blonde, and that's it. And that's it. And the author was like, I hear you. Nobody else was blonde. He was the only one. I'm like, all right, I'll give that to you, author. This is your book, these are your characters, but I'm acting like I'm giving her like, okay, you got one.
Yeah.
Un poquito, one. Ooh, that makes me think, what is like your guilty pleasure, like favorite thing when you read a book? Like, are you here for the trope where it's like, I'll take care of you? Are you here for the like hidden secret where something gets revealed in the third part where they break up? What is a trope that you're like, oh, everyone hates it, but low key, I love it. Like I eat it up. Like, oh,
The one that everybody hates that I actually like really love is surprise pregnancy.
yes,
And
tell me
it's so
more.
hated on. But like I just like the idea of her getting pregnant and seeing them navigate that and like the
Hmm,
shift of the relationship
okay.
and like going from like somebody you might want to spend the rest of your life with somebody you have to spend the rest of your life with. And I'm
Mm.
not gonna lie to you, I love it even more when he's not the dad.
Or he like steps in because he wants to.
Yeah, where he steps in because he wants to. Like the pregnancy is something outside of her, like outside of him, and he just comes in and he's just like her hero.
That's kind of sweet. I do this thing called Bookish Confessions where people on social media message me their favorite tropes or things that they love or authors they adore or tropes they don't like or like secret bookish things. And I share them on the podcast. And a lot of people have shared mixed things about surprise pregnancy. It's very rare that I hear people talk about it in a positive way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's a few books where I can think about it. And I'm like, I enjoy surprise pregnancy if it's done well. You know what I
Yes.
mean? If it's done well. But do I like a little bit of drama? My trope has to be when the ex comes back. Ooh, and not like a second chance romance. I mean like Hallmark exes where like they just kiss and it fade, for some people, it fades to black and then they're in the kitchen making pancakes and then his ex-girlfriend shows up and she's wearing a sweater and she's super beautiful and mean and he's like, it's not what it looks like, Bridget. No, no, Bridget, no. And she's like, I have to go. I'm hurt. And then this ex is like, bye, bitch. I'm like, oh God, Bridget, no. And that's for me. There's something about it's a little spice to it. There's something about an ex coming back and they're not a nice person. And like they're like, well, we could get back together. The main character's like, I've grown. I've actually realized you're not all that. And the ex is like, okay, bye. They don't have to stay for long, but there's something about an ex being there and
Well,
stirring the pot a little bit. Tell me I'm wrong.
no, well, I gotta say this. An ex may or may not show up in
Ooh,
Steamy On Set.
hey,
So you
come
might get a little bit of
on.
that.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm fighting for my life. You're like, I know you are. And you gotta wait. I'm like, oh, it's totally okay. Listeners out there, when you like, I can't describe it, but hearing about this book and like seeing the character art and like all of the tropes and how much work and like love you put into this, I just get so excited. I love independent authors who like pay attention to every single facet of the book and like they work so hard before they share it with the world. And I can see
Yeah.
that with your book and I'm just so excited for you and I can't wait to see how it grows. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Call me a golden retriever. I'm here for it. So I'm not afraid to be happy. I'm excited. So I'm excited for your story. Okay. Would you rather be in an uninterrupted, like you can read, no one's gonna interrupt you? Would you rather be in a cozy cottage in the woods or in a high-rise apartment in the city? Why?
Cozy cottage in the woods, hands down. I
Okay.
just like the wood aesthetic. And also, like, even when I'm reading at home, I always put like the fireplace uh,
Mm,
video up on my
ASMR.
TV. Yeah. And just like the cackling sound of the wood with my book and the lights turned off is such a vibe.
A recipe for rest and maybe a nap.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe a
Just
little
cuddled
nap.
up in blankets with that, like, yeah, just that coziness needed.
That sounds so amazing. I hear you. The cottage, they don't call it cottage core for nothing. It's it'll get into your mind and you'll want that cottage. You'll want that cozy, what is it, like The Holiday with Cameron Diaz? Yeah. Have you ever seen that? Where it was like Jack Black, Cameron Diaz, and there's like a
Yeah, they
little
switch
British
places.
cottage. That's who when
Yeah.
I imagine a cottage, that's the cottage I think about. So I hear
Mhm.
you. I see you. Okay, we're gonna dive into some deeper questions related to the book. So I want to know what inspired Steamy on Set.
I think there's a few things that inspired See Me on Set. The main one is probably my love of movies and the lack of representation.
Mm.
Like, I think there was a golden era in the 90s where we saw a lot of Black romances and like the early 2000s. And I feel like over time that's kind of died out. And so I just want to see more movies with Black love interest as the lead. And so that inspired this book, the idea of them working on a Black love story on this movie set and these opposites attract coming together.
That's really sweet. I think I feel like Love Jones, like there are certain like
Yeah,
Brown Sugar, like there are certain movies when you think about it and you're like, damn, that was romantic. Like that was really cute. You know what I mean? Um, I see that. I think also like there is a I would love to see like a You've Got Mail, but like with people of color. That would be really cute.
yeah,
That's one of my favorite tropes where it's like letters or like emails and they're responding to each other. They're building a rapport before they meet. There's something about that that I think is very romantic, like secret
I
admirer
agree.
vibes. Yeah, I don't
Yeah, and I
know.
think I
That's
think like
cute.
your interview with Christina Forrest in The Neighbor Favor.
Hmm.
Yeah, that book is that vibe of like You've
Exactly.
Got Mail, like them just interacting through
Yeah.
email before they ever meet in person.
So charming. Yeah,
And
and she
that's
was
so great.
lovely. Like there are certain authors where I feel like you look at them as a person, like the vibes they bring and the energy they bring and their passion for their books, and it matches what they created. You know what I mean? Like what they talk about and what they act like matches the characters they've developed. So it's just a blessing to be able to talk to authors like that. It's awesome to be able to talk to you and see, like once I read your book, I'll be like, oh my gosh, you mentioned loving these things, so you implemented them in your stories. So
Yeah.
it's really cute. I think it's awesome. So I'm excited to experience your book. Did you have specific inspiration for the main characters I want to say their names right. Is it Ferreira and Errol?
Farah and Errol.
Farah and Errol. Yes. What was your inspiration for them?
For Farah, it was my mom.
Oh.
Uh, in the book, she comes across or she's seen as by other characters as difficult and entitled. And
Mm.
I feel like if Black women don't go out of their way to be super likable, we get labeled with these kind of negative words. And like, I know my mom has experienced that a lot because she's very sure of herself and she has no problem saying what she wants and doing what she wants. And so I wanted to create a character like that and show that they're very lovable still and they have a big heart and the world does spin for them
Mm.
and there was so much more. So like my mom really inspired that character for me. And then Arrow was inspired by like 2010s playboys like John Tucker Must Die. You know, those playboys who like are for the streets, but then they meet
Yeah.
this one girl that they never thought would be their type and she just changes everything.
Wow.
And so I just wanted him to be that kind of like bantery, snarky jerk who's just actually like sweet inside and just wants to be seen.
Oh, he just wants to be appreciated. That's okay.
Yeah.
He sounds super cute. Whenever I read books, I do imagine actors in my mind. So I'm gonna throw this ball in your court, and you can let me know later if you have actors in your mind who you envisioned. But
Okay.
were there actors that you were while you were writing, or like after you finished, that you were like, "Ooh, if this book becomes a movie, I would like to see this adapted with these actors for the two main characters."
Probably I always imagine Lizzo for Farah.
Okay,
Like I was like, that's
cool.
my hope and dream that this turns into like a movie and Lizzo is my girl playing it with the tone and like the sass and everything. And then
Ooh.
Errol, I don't know, probably maybe I don't know if this is correct. Lance Gross.
Okay, I think I know who you're speaking of.
Yeah.
I might have to Google him real quick because I like when I saw the art, I was like, why was I torn between the guy from Simon or the guy who played Simon from Bridgerton or that's
Ooh.
who I envisioned. I always forget his name. I'm so sorry to this man. I'm sorry to this man. I don't
Reggie,
it,
Reggie Payne, something.
it's like Reggie something, but yeah, he was in it was Simon from Bridgerton, or I low key was looking at him, I was looking at his face, and I was like, ooh, could that be Aaron Pierre? That's Mufasa. I was like, whenever I see an attractive black man in a book, and I'm like, his eyes are beautiful. He's supposed to be kind of cocky. He's supposed to be fine as hell. Just throw Aaron Pierre in there. Like that's my default. I either think of Aaron Pierre or I think of the guy who was in that Doja Cat music video, and he was like a demon, and it was the song was like you, and you like see him in the darkness. He's all sexy with his little beard. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
this man. I think his name's like Coffee something. But that man as well. Those are my two default men where I'm like, all right, as a lesbian, if I have to choose between these two fine ass men, I'm gonna select these two. These are my fighters. You know, I can trust in these men. And then
Yeah.
that's just the vibe, you know? But if your book becomes a movie, I'm like, yes, I will pay to see this. And yes, I will go on opening night. I would. I would. So,
That's so sweet.
yes, the only curvy rep I've ever seen in a romance movie before was probably Just Right with
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
with Common and Queen Latifah. I love Queen Latifah. But
uh
that's probably the only representation I've ever seen with curvy women of color in a rom-com, like on a large scale. Yeah,
Survival of the Thickest.
that's a good show. I have
That's a
seen
good
that show,
show.
yes.
I would say that's good curvy representation and kind of like it's not necessarily a rom-com, but it has its moments.
I'm looking forward to season two. It's on Netflix. I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah.
Also, I like how the woman who's playing that role in the show, I feel like her as a person, it's not that big of a leap because her personality when she does comedy is very similar. So I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah.
just you, but in a TV show. Like, I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that. Okay, my next question for you is a little bit longer. So you've been working on this standalone like series for 3 years, and there are additional books coming out. Uh, I was wondering, what's the story behind all these like love stories together? Are your books gonna all connect? So I saw that on social media. You posted that like you had other books prepared. So I was like, ooh, are they all gonna connect? Can you say?
Yeah, so it's like
Ooh.
a standalone series. Like you can read them individually, but they're all going to connect. Like the
Ooh.
second book that I'm currently working on follows Monty, who is Farah's best friend.
Ooh.
And so it's her love story. And then you meet like a whole cast of characters in her book. And the third book is like of two people from that grouping in a love
Okay.
story. And
So they
like
all know each other.
they all know each other. And a way that they're all connected is they all have these very messy relationships with their exes.
Ooh. It's my world. Oh my God, it's my land. I actually don't have any best relations with my exes, thank God. But oh no, oh no. Have you ever seen The Last of Us? Toxic, scary, terrifying. That's my love life. So I'm very excited. That is not the world I live in anymore. We are inside, y'all. We are committed and we are inside. Thank God. Oh, bodies are fighting for their lives out here. And it's summertime. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but the point
Mm-hmm.
is, I'm safe. We're all safe inside. But I love books where people know each other. Like obviously the Green Sister series, they knew each other. They're all sisters.
Yeah.
Even yeah, Talia Brown's books, they were also sisters. So it'd be
Yes.
kind of cool to see them as like friends, maybe. That could be cute. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm like mentally being like, the second book isn't out yet. You gotta be cool. You gotta be chill. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally chill. Like, I'm cool. I'm chill. Next question. What does diversity mean to you in the book world?
Diversity means everything to me. As
Mm,
like a plus size black bisexual woman who is neurodivergent, like
mm,
I did not see myself in books. And like I was struggling with my mental health in high school, and I wanted to really see a book with like a black character going through that. And all of them were just like, a crazy manic pixie girl, like all of just white characters, suicide notes. It's kind of a funny story, perks of being a wallflower. And then, like, dealing with self esteem issues, I wanted to see a plus size woman of any race being loved on. And the closest I could find was the Duff, which is just like not the greatest like way you want to see a plus size woman being loved on,
yeah,
where somebody literally calls them the designated ugly fat friend and then pursues them. So it means a lot to me, and I think that's why I love the indie publishing industry, is because it allows for minorities of society to be able to find themselves in a way that traditionally published books don't.
mm,
So I love diversity in books. I think it's so needed.
that's amazing. I And thank you for sharing a little bit about like your life and what you were looking for in books. I think as well, like even watching movies like The Duff, right? You have, even though this trope is toxic, the Bella Thorne character, even though she's not a bad person, her character is the ex that comes around after she has a, spoiler alert, a nice moment with the love interest. The ex comes around and she feels replaced and she feels pushed aside and she doesn't feel chosen. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where even in romance, it's all rooted in, will he choose her? Will he love her? And there's always what is it, the ugly duckling setting where it's like she'll change and she'll evolve and he tries to put her in new clothes to make her look different and it's like she has to change in order to be worthy. That is like
Yeah.
the message. And I'm like, at least it would be really nice to see in movies where it's like the love interest does not need to change in order to be worthy, especially related to weight or related to like their personality. They always find them and they're like, oh, you will be great if you were just A, B, and C. And it's like,
Yeah.
is that love going in with the intention of changing them? You know what I mean? That's not love. That's a
It's
project.
not. Yeah. And
This is
it
not
sends
build
a
a bitch.
message.
You can't like you can't go in and be like, I'm just gonna remake you. That's not how this works. I and also the male love interest in most stories, if it's not queer, which I do love a queer romance. I like to see myself in these stories. But like
Yeah.
but even in straight romances, I just change the pronouns in my head most of the time. So that's why it's like if you have to rewrite a story in order to love it, it makes me, I don't know if anyone else ever feels like that, but it makes me feel like sometimes I'm lying a little bit where I say like, "Oh, I love this story," because in my mind I changed a lot in the book. It's not a fan fiction. I read the book, but it's like, well, in my head they looked like this. They weren't this, or maybe they said things differently. It's really nice to see in romance more diversity so you don't have to keep changing things.
Yeah.
Um, Also, it would be nice to see more representation for people who have anxiety or who have mental health things they're dealing with that don't go away just because they fell in love.
Yeah.
I feel like they always like the love interest is able to like hold them or be there for them when they're going through a hard time, which is nice. But I think it would be nicer to see them like actually have to be like, hey, I love you, but like I still have to go to therapy and I still have to acknowledge these things and work through these things. Our romance is not going to resolve things I've always been dealing with. I feel like I've never read a book that had that before, where like it was like, yeah, I have these issues and I love you, but I still have these things I have to maneuver, and this is part of who I am. I think the only one was the Talia Hibbert one where the guy he had anxiety and like he was working through that his entire life and he told her about it. But he's like, yeah, this is something I have to navigate by myself. So I'm excited to see in your book if there's any like moments where you read it and you feel seen because like that is the
Yeah.
most magical feeling, like to feel seen. So, ooh, I'm so excited to read it. Can you share a quote from your book or a moment you're excited for readers to see on the page?
Yeah, I can share both. So my favorite quote from the book is, every romance is interesting when you go beyond the kissing. Everybody has a past that dictates how they operate in a relationship.
Oh my gosh, you just that's just off the dome?
You know, like I put it on my website so I remember.
That's amazing. I'm sitting here and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're a genius." And you're like, "Yeah, I am a genius." I'm like, "You're a genius." That quote is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I guess I'm wondering if you could meet either one of your characters in real life, only the main characters, who would you want to meet?
I want to meet Farah
Hmm.
because she's so confident and sure of herself. And like I would just like to be around somebody who's like that because I feel like it brings that energy into your own life and that reminder that like even if everybody else doesn't think you're amazing, you need to think you're amazing.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
yeah,
Hell yeah. You know what? Yes, I also would like to meet somebody like that. I think it's really sweet that you also were inspired by your mom, like for that character. I think that's really cool. What has been the most personal part about writing this book?
probably the most personal part about writing this book is the main characters and their like these defining things like him being bisexual and her being plus size because I'm putting a piece of myself in there.
Mm,
And I always feel like with representation, you want to be sure that the way somebody sees your characters and the takeaways that they get aren't harmful to the community
mm,
themselves. Like my mom used to always say, and it's not necessarily what should be the case, but she always used to say, if you're the first Black person someone meets, then they're going to judge every Black person after that based on their experience with you.
it's true.
And like, we shouldn't do that to people. But if this is the first book someone reads with a bisexual male, I want them to have a good takeaway from it.
Mm, I get that. I also think that that's how I feel about things on screen, and I wonder if you feel this way as well. The few parts of LGBTQIA plus representation we have on screen, I feel like there's not much on screen now. It's very limited, but I feel like a lot of people take the stereotypes on screen and they apply that to real life, or they
Yeah.
take characters who have problems fictionally and they put that on entire groups in real life. My biggest one was like the L word. I don't want to go deep
Yeah.
into it, but like the only black characters in the L word, all of them, something really, really bad happens to them, or they don't treat their partners really great. But then all the white characters like resolve and they grow and they change and they apologize. But the black characters, like one gets killed off, like one is emotionally abusive and cheats, one is constantly aloof. Like none of them, and when they do evolve, it's like years later. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we're not all like that. Like we're not all like
Right.
that. Like there are people out here in committed relationships. There are people out here who have businesses, and this just it stems from this like every single one is like that. Yes, every single person of character, every single person of color in that show is written that way, and it's like
Yeah.
that's harmful. Like
It is.
that's really mean. And it would be nice, like the same way that you have like Hallmark, you know what I mean? It's gotten better with like diversity and stuff. They could definitely improve. But like it would be nice to have like small town cozy romances with black love interests or queer love interests, trans love interests who the if they're facing a problem in their storyline, it's not because of their sexuality and it's not because of their race. It's about something
Yeah.
else. That would be nice, you know? I don't know. That's like the beauty of books is that you can escape into this other world and like you don't have to always like confront these heavy things. But like that's kind of the point of diversity is to have the choice. Black people in fantasy, black people in sci-fi, queer people in sci-fi, romance, adventure, like we're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be written into the story and like to be written in mind, like and the author has your story at heart. Oh, it's like it feels like a special gift just for you. Even going to book events, I just went to one with a friend. There were only three or four black authors at that event. Out of like 50, 60 authors, there were only like three or four black authors. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
why? I was walking around, I was like, uh, I was happy to be there. I was very, very grateful to be invited, and my friend invited me. I was so happy. But I was just walking around, I was like, "Mm, like
Where's
where
the
are we?"
diversity? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but that just means that there needs to be more room for us, and we need to make room, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. So I hope that I see you at future book events, and that people find your books more and more.
Yeah.
So,
I signed up for a book event in my city.
oh.
And I was like going through all the authors that they announced, and I
Mhm.
think there was like only one other Black author.
Oh wow.
And I was like hopefully like next year there's more of us.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if that's the demographic because I'm in Canada and like the
Mm.
population of Black people is a lot smaller.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh wow, I really didn't know that. Oh my gosh. Um, that's well, that's kind of insane because when I think about it, I think you're the second Canadian author that I'm aware of that I've read or want to read stuff from. My favorite author is also based in Canada and all her books are based in Canada. So I was like, oh, like I love this. I was like, but would it be nice to have black characters in that series? Yes, it would. But one of these days. But you know, I think that's the beauty of like finding your books is that like if you're searching for something, I'm pretty sure that there are authors out there who have created that. Like for me, like I really
Yeah.
wanted like black queer people in fantasy. I'm still look I'm still looking for it, but it's out there. It's I want black queer people in fantasy where we don't die at the end and we get a happy
Yes.
ending and it does
Yes.
not fade to black. Sorry. I'm sorry. If you can get people sleeping together in the sky, banging in the sky, make it queer, damn it. Shit. Equality. I want equality. I want it. I need it. Okay? Come on. Like, and people say, like, well, you could always just like that's what fan fiction's for. I'm like, no. I'm like, if you can get 12 books all about that and everyone's got ivory skin and dark hair and blue eyes and we can't have a single black fairy, we can't have like a non-binary warrior. Damn, I'm like, okay, even in like sci-fi I'm like, so no one was gay,
Yeah.
everyone was straight, the whole vampires, no one's a little gay.
Oh, you can't be alive for centuries and not have like grown and
Oh,
branched out and like,
correct,
yeah, you
even
gotta
like
leave one X.
Lee in Interview the Vampire. That's a badass cutie patootie, cutie patootie. What? But like that was the first time on screen I'd ever seen a vampire who is saying like sexuality wise they're fluid in that sense. They like what they like. Like it,
Yeah.
and I think that was Lestat. Lestat was like he's like you're with a woman right now. He's like I I I like what I like. I like you. I like her. I like people. It was the first time I'd ever seen that on screen before, and that was like last year. I was like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. You know, bisexual representation, it matters a lot. And seeing that in books, seeing that in film, you are part of the community and you deserve to be supported and loved all the way, including all of your characters. So you do deserve that. Yeah, you can't pick and choose what you like from the LGBTQ community. You have to love all of us. You can't just
All of it.
select. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't just select. And I agree with that. So I'm so excited to read your book. And I feel like I what is it? It's why choose is also a trope where a lot of people are beginning to see that like male love interests can also love their male love interests and love the female main character as well. There's no need to have to choose. We can all be
Yeah.
together. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, finally, I'm here for it. Like, it's the Vampire Diaries vibes where it's like, okay, Damon's wonderful, Stefan's wonderful. Stefan in his entire life was only with women his whole life? I
No.
call bullshit. I'm like, Catherine,
Agreed.
you were never with another woman? Never?
Catherine was. Catherine was for
You
sure.
know
You
she was.
can't tell me
Come
Catherine wasn't.
on. Damon, are you serious, my man? Like, what
Oh,
do you mean?
Damon and what's his face, the guy that Bonnie dated in the last season,
Enzo,
Enzo. If that was a love story, I would have lived. I would have
you know
lived.
what? Why does Bonnie have to choose? Why can't she's been through
Yes.
enough?
Why can't she have
She's
both
been
of
through
them?
enough. Let her have both.
Yeah.
Both? I said both. Yes. Listen, I'm terrified to watch the last season of The Vampire Diaries. I used
Don't
to be a diehard fan, but I heard it was really sad. I was like, no, I've been hurt enough.
don't watch it. It's gonna ruin the whole show for you.
Oh God. Oh, I got a shiver. I was like, oh God, it's been years, and I'm like, please, I don't want to go through this anymore. The Vampire Diaries, I used to like what you remember like DVRs? I used to like record it and I would wait till Friday hit after school and go home and I'd be like, is Bonnie alive? She never was. And I was like, well, she's gonna come back, okay? She's never really gone. And I later figured out how horrible and traumatic and bad that was. But teenage me
Yeah.
was like, Bonnie's still there. Little did I know I was gay. And that's why I was gay. And that's why I was like, Why would they kill off Bonnie like that? I also loved Enzo though. I think it's the question of do you want him or do you want to be him?
Mm.
And when you think like that, you're like, oh, oh no, not another journey. But it's more like not another journey because when you think about it, I love when they gender swap things in books where the characteristics of like a traditional love interest, like Edward from Twilight, when they swapped genders in like another book she released later on, where the elements of Edward became, I think it was like Bella's character became Beau and then Edward's character became like I guess in that storyline was like a woman, so it was swapped in that sense. So the
Yeah.
story was like, what if Edward was a woman pursuing, this sounds horrible, but like a 3,000-year-old vampire pursuing an 18-year-old boy. That's horrific, but it's like, but he's a vampire and they're forbidden, you know? I always tease my partner about that. I'm like, if we were to look at like traditional vampire stories, if we made it queer, why isn't it just as tragic and romantic and gothic and sexy and dark? Versus with straight romances, we have so many vampires that are straight and they're like, I love you, be with me, the little Nosferatu hands. But like the paranormal vampire love stories, I'm like, if you wrote one, I would read it. Because there's not that many out there. They're like queer, like they are queer and they are vampires. And it's not up to interpretation. It's not read the curtains. The curtains are red, so that means she's gay. No, it's written on the page like they are gay. I'm collecting these puppies because I feel like they're really rare to find. So if you
They
ever
are.
have
They're very
recommendations,
rare. And there should definitely be more queer vampires. Like you cannot tell me that we got to this point and there's not some gay ones and some lesbians. Like no way.
we lived
I
this
will
long.
I will say that True Blood had a lot of problematic representation,
Ooh,
but the girl who worked with Eric, one of the main male lead interests, she was like a lesbian and her whole story, personality, and everything was everything for me.
ooh. I didn't get that deep into. I think it was something about like I'd never seen Southern Gothic on screen before, so there was something really alluring besides like Eva's Bayou. Like I think that was the only kind of version I've ever gotten of like Southern Gothic, claustrophobic,
Yeah.
like moody vibes, like deep, deep in the South vibes. But even like Lovecraft Country, to me, that's definitely giving like Southern Gothic. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but even like Lovecraft Country had queer elements and discussed like gender, sexuality, identity, like that to me, like even that was like blew my mind. I'd never seen that on screen before. Like even just to like to shed your skin and become someone else, like both paranormal but also racial and sexual, just like to become someone else for a few hours. Who would you
Yeah.
be? That's such an interesting character dynamic. So I'm so excited to like see what you end up doing later in the future because you don't necessarily have to stick. That's the beauty of being an author is that you can go into any genre.
Oh yeah.
Cool. You can do anything. That's cool.
That's what I
So
love about it. Yeah, I'm all
yeah,
over the place. I don't know if it's my ADHD, but like it's so hard for me to like focus on one story at a time. So I have
I
like
get
10
that.
works in progress and they are all
Ooh.
over genre wise.
Oh my gosh. I'm that kind of person where if you tell me about a book and you're like, okay, it's coming out in 2027, boom on Goodreads, boom on Fable. I got them on my calendar. Like I'm the kind of person who's like, she's not gonna remember that. I'm like, I'll remember this. Is it gay? I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll remember. I'll remember. There's a vampire queer book coming out that's from the same author as The Invisible Life of Addie like LaRue, but it's three vampires in three different parts of the world. And they I guess at one point they were all buried in the same place. They were all like killed at one point, and they're all buried in the same soil and they all rise and they're all somebody's gay. Somebody's gay. And I heard that the audiobook is like different voice actresses, different accents because they're in different parts of the world. And also the book glows in the dark, which is kind of cool. And like I thought that was kind of cool. So it's like, but it's supposed to be queer vampires and also like a lot of diversity because they're different parts of the world and you get each one of their lives and then how they all intersect at one point. And I guess how they became vampires and like who they are now. I'm
Yeah.
so excited to read it. I think it's like Bury My Bones in the Midnight Soil. I think that's what the book is called, Bury My Bones in the Midnight Soil. That title,
Beautiful.
I'm waiting. I'm
Well,
patiently
yeah.
waiting. So
Look,
yes, I
I running to add it to my Goodreads.
Please do. There are just so many. Also, an Education in Malice by S.C. Gibson. That's a really good. It's already out, but that was a really good like Carmilla retelling, but like dark academia. And then the woman who turned Carmilla is like a professor on campus, and they do poetry. And the professor is like, "I don't want you," and Carmilla's like, "I dream about you. I just want to be under your wing. I just want you to guide me." And the professor's like, yeah, okay, academically. And then one night, Carmilla and this girl that she hates but is low-key kind of into, they wandered down a catacomb and they end up finding the professor. And she's in this like cloak looking bad as hell, you know, Angela Bassett style, bad as hell. And then
Yeah.
she's in front of a casket, and then her ex-girlfriend rises from the casket. Turns out her ex-girlfriend was a vampire buried under the campus, Cambridge. What the hell? Boom, bites her. Her girlfriend's like hungry. Hasn't fed in millennia. She sees Carmilla, this teenage girl. Boom, attacks her. Carmilla is gonna die. Her professor's like, I'll turn you. She turns her. And then Carmilla's like, I think I made a mistake. Because now her professor's like, I have to teach you how to do all of this. And I'm kind of lonely. And my ex-girlfriend ran into the woods and is killing students. So I need you to stay with me. And Carmilla's like, I have a girlfriend though. And her professor's like, I don't give a single damn. So that's the whole point of the that's the whole point of the story. You know, the cliff notes, if you will. But for people who want to read it, it does follow like who's really in control
Yeah.
and like the cycles of love. And one of the quotes from that book was like, I knew from the beginning that I was gonna have to bleed for our love. I was like, ooh,
Oh, I love that.
ooh, it's yearning. It's yearning. It's enemies to lovers, it's academic rivals.
Yeah.
This curvy rep because her love interest is curvy.
You sold me. I'm sold.
I'm telling you right now, S.T. Gibson's a wonderful woman, and I cannot wait to one day possibly meet her. But that was one of the first books I've ever read where it had poetry in the book that intertwined with the storyline that had queer representation, was gothic but not harmful to the relationship. And there's also like a vampire party. There's a vampire party, and it's giving goth, it's giving we're misunderstood, and they're very
Yeah.
self-aware. And it just it's really really it's got a little bit of spice. It's got lots of longing. It feels like you stumbled into like Tumblr late at night. You know, that's what it kind of feels like for the girlies who know, for the 2018 girlies who know. But yes, it feels like a Lana Del Rey song on repeat. That's exactly what it feels like. So
Yeah.
I hope that one day you read it, and I hope one day
I
that you
will.
write like a cool queer gothic story that has vampires and stuff that we're all waiting for. Please, dear God, the girlies are waiting, please. Like we're fighting for our lives. But I'm reading Kimberly Lemming and she's amazing. She's got so much humor and she does a lot of like fantasy and romantasy and it's fun and it's spicy. Sometimes I'm just like, I think I just want Bonnie's love story, but queer. And I want it to be, I want her to actually have a happy ending.
Yes. I
Yeah,
would
that would be
love
nice.
that.
Yeah, like, in the dedication, if someone wrote like for the people who loved Vampire Diaries and loved Bonnie more, this one's for
Yeah.
you.
I can't remember her name right now, but she's releasing a book because she loved Bonnie so much and she got a terrible like storyline. It's The Blood Moon.
Ooh,
I think that's it. Oh, I hope that's it.
let
But
me know.
it's like a black girl moving to a college in a small town with like stories of werewolves and vampires, and she kind of
Ooh.
gets caught up in it. And it sounds like dark academia, like vampire werewolf, Twilight vibes meets the Vampire Diaries. I've
It's
pre-ordered it, but I can't remember the name.
Ooh, okay, I will message you about this.
Yeah.
Me. Oh my God, it's time. I'm not ready. I'm gonna message you about this. Okay, Blood Moon. It's on my mind. It's in the dome. 2 minutes later, I forgot. No, I will remember. Okay, as we dive deeper into your book, since you're writing a contemporary romance, I was wondering, if you could describe your book in 8 words, what would it be?
Oh, if I had to describe it in 8 words, it'd probably be funny, flirty, light, fast,
Ooh,
diverse, yearning,
ooh.
passion, and friendship.
Those are some strong words. Okay, okay. All right, I see you. I hear you. What are you most excited for listeners to experience while reading Steamy on Set? And where can readers find your book when it comes out April 21st of this year?
Honestly, I'm just excited for them to experience like a confident plus size black woman who doesn't have self-esteem issues. Like obviously everybody has a problem, but like hers aren't. Like you said, like you want somebody's identity and things to not be the problem of the
Hmm.
story. That her body isn't important. It's just the body she has.
Hmm.
And yeah, you can find it on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited and hopefully on my website. Still figuring that out.
I'm gonna, when your book comes out, I will definitely be posting about it on my Instagram and I'll link it in my show notes below so that when it does come out, you guys will have the pre-order link in the show notes and I'll link your social medias as well so they can keep up to date with you. But when the book does come out, I will be doing a post so that people know, like, hey, it's out now. You can definitely read it.
Oh, good.
Yes, but thank you so much for coming to this podcast. I'm so, so grateful. Where can everyone find you on Instagram?
Oh, so they can find me on D.S.Walls Writes for Instagram and Threads. And then I think the same thing for TikTok, D.S.Walls Writes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you, all listeners, for being here, for listening, and all the bookish things. Please like this if you're listening to it on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe, and if you're listening to this on Spotify, leave a rating. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, everyone.